Turning now to Georgia's coronavirus outbreak, and for the first time, the state surpassing the 100 mark for the number of people who've died. The youngest known victim in our state is 29, the oldest 95. The number of confirmed cases now more than 3,000 and nearly 700 people hospitalized. But these numbers could jump dramatically in just a few weeks, and if they do, the state could be reporting dozens of deaths in a single day. That's according to one infectious disease expert out of Emory University. Nick Sturdivant live in Atlanta with more on that expert's prediction on when the state will see a peak in this outbreak, plus a look at the state's hotspots for the virus.
Yeah, good morning, Sheba. Quite frankly, the stats are scary, but Dr. Carlos Del Rio with Emory University did offer some hope. And take a look at your screen. Here's a look at the counties with the most confirmed cases. Fulton County leads the state with more than 500. DeKalb County is inching closer to 300 confirmed cases. And Dr. Del Rio predicts that we could see a peak in hospital resources and COVID-19 deaths by late April. But Dr. Del Rio says he believes Georgians could return to a more normal lifestyle by May.
My phrase is, let's erase April from our calendars. If we're able to hunker down on April and meanwhile increase testing significantly, but really increase testing throughout the country, continue the clinical trials and make sure our hospitals have the supplies they need, I really think by early May, we will be fine.
And Dr. Del Rio was honest. He said that there are limitations to the models that he is using, but there is new data always coming in and is constantly being tweaked.
All right, Nick. The White